Ours was Lieber Krebs's band. And I think you can verify the story. They went on the road with the Ted Nugent band, and they were getting pushed as the new hot band. And they played at Cobalt Hall, and the singer said, "You guys are nothing. We're from South Philly." And the crowd went, "Really?" And they pulled him down to the audience and killed him, basically. The band was over. It was over. They just broke every bone he had. Really? You're from South Philly? It's a joke. In South Detroit made South Philly look like a joke. They thought they were tough. I'm sorry. This was like...
It's still Detroit. You gotta watch your ass in Detroit.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
and that band was over. It was it. And
what was the lead cut off their first album?
I have no idea, but they would dodge.
Girls.
What?
Detroit Girls.
Detroit Girls. They were dodging bottles. The opening band, Artful Dodger, and that band, their job was to dodge bottles as they came spinning out of the audience, and their job, the entire set, was to not get killed.
ugh.
Ted Nugent also had another thing. I mean, Ted said some really wrong things in his life, but no floor monitors. He wanted only side fills so that everybody in the front row that had their head on the stage could see everything.
That's pretty awesome.
They wanted nothing in the way.
Yeah.
You know, that was a different day. I mean,
Yeah.
he had 6 twins all the way up.
All the way up,
Okay,
all the
now,
on, yeah.
Derek says that he put that birdland on and went over there and stood on the X's. Ted put X's on the stage where all the notes fed back different, and said he tried to control the guitar, he couldn't control it. He said the thing was trying to come out of his arms, and he had the volume control. He actually had it turned down a lot for all that stuff, and then when he turned it all the way up, it was just a giant ebo is what it was.
Yeah, yeah.
A very interesting. If there are stories about Aerosmith, there are stories about Janis Joplin, there's stories about Hendrix. I'll give you another story. Hendrix walking up the gangplank at the big concert, not Isle Right, but what was the huge concert where he burned the guitar? Monterey?
Monterey, yeah.
Says to Jim Marshall, not the amp builder, but the photographer, Jim Marshall, as he's walking up the thing, he's got his guitar, Jim Marshall's right here, and he leans over and he goes, "Get more film." And I was told to Tom Wheeler, the editor guitar player, and I have a copy of an original Jim Marshall of him burning the guitar with a lighter fluid.
Wow.
So, I mean...
That's crazy.
There's story after story after story. All Right Now never went gold in America. It went gold in England, and they didn't have it. Paul Rogers gave me a gold copy of it. They didn't have a copy of the record. They had to take my copy and gold plate it.
That sounds about right. That's
you can turn the film on all you want now.
Thank you, sir.
That's the irony of being a musician. Every time somebody's like, "Oh, you got CDs?" I'm like, "No, I gotta buy them from the label." Like, "Can I get a CD?" I'm like, "No, I gotta buy it just like you do." Some things never change, I guess.
And these stories about them tearing the hotels up and throwing stuff out the windows, it all happened.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they literally would go, open the window, start throwing TVs out, beds. I mean, we have accounts that pay it for it all, which is a line out of Joe Walsh. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, the irreverence and the stuff that was going on was just unbelievable, and it's not that way anymore.
No, it's not that way.
It's
at all.
not that way anymore.
Because these days it's and we were talking about this at breakfast. These days, there's just not a lot of touring bands, you know, and it's kind of the same as like a lot of the retail stuff. I was telling him, I see it as whenever sales are down for a store, usually my students are kind of down. You know what I mean? Like there's downtime. It's kind of universal. It seems to all be kind of connected. But it was different. Now, if you're out there, it only takes one thing to go wrong, and it's not a Spinal Tap moment. It's not like, you know, cutting the whole you're done. Like you are done. You know, and I've seen it happen a million times on the road with a lot of these. I saw a guy in Japan once get on a motorcycle and like, "Check this out, guys," and he somehow managed to turn it on, and he went through a bank window, and it wound up being, that motorcycle wound up belonging to, what do you call the gangsters there, the mob? Yes. one of the motorcycles belonged to one of the main guys of that, and they basically did the tour for free, and then the craziest thing is there was some huge favor pool as to how do we fix it. Well, it's like, give us as much money as you can, and also there's some no-name band wound up playing like right under Ozzy on some crazy festival. That was the favor returned, it's something like that. But it's just like, it only takes one move like that. In the 70s, it was the Wild West, like my old instructor at my college would say, if you had a means to transport a band and a nice PA, you could just drive one direction and you could make a killing, really, But that was back in the day, So
I wanted to show Van Halen a guitar, and so I got put with about this many people in the stands, in an area, waiting for the backstage passes. And the guy walks up, the road manager walks up, and he looks at all the women, and this one guy, because
you're the only guy.
all women, right? And he goes, you, and you come with me, everybody else leaves. That was the end of that. I waited all day to meet Van Halen, and it was over. But hang on a minute. Same thing. 8 times as many people in a room this size, maybe smaller, at least 8 times. We're packed in like cattle. I start mooing like a cow. Because I didn't like it was a cattle call. And they bring everybody out of the room, and the road manager walks out. He says, if you're willing to sleep with the band, follow me. If not, leave. Crowd cut in half, that was it. I walked out.
Sure you did.
True story. Who said that? What's wrong with you? I've had a lot of things in my life question, not that part. I got 5 kids. What's wrong with you?
Well, I noticed he doesn't play a PRS, so it must not have worked out.
There is a Van Halen PRS.
Well, that was made for, that was a different story, and no, it didn't work out. Eddie's been really nice to me. The guy who won't talk to me. I waited around twice all day for him, and he just, I wasn't on.
You said yeah for the Who?
No. If my name had been Christian Martin, or it had been Leo Fender, or it had been Bill Schultz, or it had been Henry Jeskowitz, or Ted McCarty, or piles of other names, I would have been seen. Bob Taylor, sorry, Paul Smith, And that, after one of those experiences, I came back and called almost every artist I had and thanked them for treating me well. I had an experience I waited around all day. The roadie knew I was there. He knew I was there. The road manager knew I was there. Everybody, I was at one of the Virgin festivals, seeing, I can't remember who it was. I can't really remember who it was. Anyway. He came out, I had the guitar in my hand, he got in the limo, and he left. I called all my artists the next day and thanked them.
Wow. Was Santana your first catch?
No, Santana was a sweetheart. He wanted a tool to do his job. Carlos doesn't care about what anybody else thinks. Carlos only cares what he thinks.
Yeah.
Carlos wants a tool to do his job. What do you got?
Yeah.
Al Di Meola, first time I ever met him, I had made his guitar for Peter Frampton, and he's looking at me going, I want you to show me the way. I said, is that how it goes? And he kept looking down and playing the guitar, trying to get out of it, and he kept playing the guitar and kept trying to get out of it, and he goes, oh no, oh no.
Yeah, I gotta have
and he
one.
looks at me, he goes, will you make me a 12-string? I swear to God. I mean, these experiences all happen in some way, and that's how the company started. But look, Paul Miles is an extraordinarily good manager, and he's a great guitar maker. My place is full of guitar makers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we got an old, 53 Les Paul, we converted into a 58 Les Paul in the back the other day. Nobody better at doing that conversion than us. I got pictures of it. It looks like a 58 Les Paul. But we did it because we needed to find out a couple of things about the history of our business that we didn't know, and we were able to find out about it. There's a 54 Strat in my office right now, and we pretty much understand. I wish I had the rights to make them. We could make 50 real ones. I mean, we could make real 58 Les Pauls. We could make all this stuff, but we don't have the trademark rights to that. We have the trademark rights to this. So we can make that stuff. We're guitar makers. I mean, we keep trying to do vintage finishes, and God doesn't want us doing them. He wants us doing all these colors.
Yeah, all the cool stuff.
He wants us doing all these colors. He just absolutely has no interest in
Yeah.
whatsoever in us doing something from the past. He wants us doing something new. And, you know, that's what you're out there practicing when you're staying in these woods, right? There was a shoe shop downstairs from my shop, and I bought a bottle of red dye, and a bottle of yellow dye, and a bottle of blue dye, and that's how it started.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's how it started. And the problem with 5-inch leather dye, it fades. So all of these guitars, this is a green guitar that's been stained as if it faded. Because originally, in the old days, those guitars are blue, and they turn green. So, I mean, we used to get, so a guy sends me a balloon, right? I'm sorry to jump around, but these are all stories that just kind of erupting, right? He sends us a purple balloon, he says, blow it up, put it in front of the light, and I want it that color. So Jeff Jacobson and I blew it up, tied it off, looked in the light, made it that color, and then we had a purple guitar. The black guitars, the stained ones, because we got wood that had black stain in it, we need to cover it up. The green guitars, we had
The reason for everything, yeah.
green stain, we need to cover it up. The tortoiseshell was all the brown stain, we needed to cover it up. All these colors didn't come from some idea of colors. We wanted to sell the guitars, and the wood had come in.
And the art happened. The art
Yeah,
happened
yeah,
while
yeah.
solving the problem, and the art happened
Paul
at the same time.
is a MICA graduate, Maryland Institute. What's the exact acronym?
College of Art.
What?
Maryland Institute College of Art.
Right. And so you should tell the story, Paul. But you got a complete art degree and never could figure out how it related to making guitars. And does your art degree now relate to making guitars?
Oh yeah, it always did. I just didn't realize it.
So he's somehow taken his art degree and turned it into making these beautiful guitars, right? Somehow it translated beautifully. And
Yeah, it did.
we did some things for his school, talking at the school, and it got very clear that your art degree had translated beautifully into guitar making. That's very cool what's going on with the guitar making. It's very cool. I think we're peaking right now. We're making the best guitars we've ever made.
Yeah, I mean,
the artist acceptance level is very high. I got a letter from Garth Brooks the other day of all weird things, thanking me for
he's been playing
playing
that
a
guitar for a
Zach
song.
Myers
Yeah, that was
with a
right.
bunch of U.S. parts on it. I'm sorry, I never thought I'd get a letter from Garth Brooks.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest news of all time. It's
So,
a big deal.
can you play some of that Django stuff?
Yeah.
So let me give you an idea. Django Reinhardt is one of the geniuses and fathers of music in our business. Right? And he did a tune called Nuage and a bunch of other tunes, and just because he didn't have a few fingers didn't bother him very much. He just did it anyway. And you were one of the very few people that have studied him.
Yeah, I still try, yeah.
Yeah,
I still,
so-
it's a weird, let's see. Well, the first thing, well, here we go. All right, so 2 fingers, right? When you hear this, you think that it's this. Here we go. So basically, you have stuff like this. See how everything's like a 2-finger form for him, right? And he did the diminished scale like nobody else. So. So with him, interesting thing about
Fly, wake up!
Interesting thing about Django is that if you want to talk about who was like, how far back do chops go? You know, like who, because there's always, it's like, no, there was this guy that before Eddie that was doing, and a lot of those guys just played that way back then. A lot of the guys, and it's like LA style, right? The thing about Django is he did what you would call the sweep pick now, it's just a rest stroke, but he would do the, here's a very classic kind of Django lick. Right? And he's sweeping. But he's doing it with 2 fingers. doing it at the speed. I mean, the guy was the original Keith Moon too, because he would actually get paid, and I saw the numbers that he would get paid in this book, this biography, and it was enough to be like, holy crap, back then? Like, oh my God, like he was a mystery. Nobody had ever seen a guitar played like that. But what would the guy do is he was a total space cadet. He would sometimes just not show up to his shows because he wanted to go for a walk and smell the dew. He would show up to a show and oh, I left my guitar on the train, it's gone. Like, sitting there running around trying. He would show up to the gig with no pick and he would play the tooth of a comb. He didn't really like playing guitar for people, he'd rather play pool or go fishing. And the guy...
Sounds like me.
Yeah. But the guy...
They want me to go fishing.
Yeah. But no, he's something else, man. I mean, nobody plays, that's basically his sound. So it's called decoration. Like basically take a chord like this or a chord like this, and that same thing I showed you earlier. You can trace chords. That's what he does. It's called decoration. So if I have an arpeggio, right? If I have an arpeggio, I can go make like a musical idea out of it. So he would do that, but it as you all know, is very intense and ferocious, and also beautiful. The guy that's the song that stands for Clouds that you like.
You watch it.
That's a beautiful song. Willie Nelson does a great version of that song.
Have you ever played it?
No, that's one I haven't. I got a really weird relationship with Django because.
Why don't you come to my studio and record it?
Okay, I'll learn it. I mean, I know it in my head. I've got a weird relationship with Django because like, I traded lessons with this guy named Dennis Chang, who's a really big instructional, like a gypsy jazz instructor up in the French side of Canada. And we did a Skype thing because he wanted to kind of get in on some sort of the metal chops, and I wanted to get in on the George Benson stuff because that's another all-time great, as well as Django. And I worked on this lick. It's this one lick. Somehow they go. But what they do is they avoid. They'll actually kind of overwork, and if it's a single string, they downpick it no matter what. So it resets, their picking never screws up. So that's the way that they fix all their, like sweep picking is what you call it. Yeah, it's economy picking, that's what you call it now. So when you see him play, it's a very particular thing. So I'm working for 2 or 3 years on this, trying to like really get down. I was transcribing solos, all this stuff, buying books, doing it by ear, and then I finally got to talk to a guy who really does it, and I was like, all right, before we go, you have to, let me show you this. And I'm playing the lick. And I go, how close am I? He starts laughing. He goes, I can't believe you got it that close on an electric, but it's impossible. He's like, but you were, and I was like, okay, that's it, thanks. You basically saved me like 2 more years of heartache. Because I was like, I will learn this. And sure enough, so you got to play with your 90-degree cocked angle. You got to float, not, hover, not like rest. I love resting on the guitar, that kind of thing. But if you guys ever get a chance to, there's only one video and it's about 50 seconds long. You get a chance to get on YouTube and go dig his music up. It's an incredible thing, it really is. Especially back then. It was so incredible the Nazis protected him. Because yeah, they protected him because he was a big phenomenon, And that was all from a fire that set him he was a legit gypsy. His wife had a side gig as she made lanterns and he knocked one over when they were asleep and the thing went up and they both lived, but although I was told, I will say this, I met this one French guy whose great uncle played with him. He's like, don't be fooled. The third finger works. Yeah. He's like, it's fused, but he's selective with using it, but that's the one secret. And I'm like, that's why I've learned this damn solos, and it still doesn't work. I still can't do it. So, but anyways, check out Django Reinhardt, man. He's something else.
And what does Benson sound like when you play?
Benson, man. That's Benson. I mean, he's a total sweep guy, I mean, he's still got it too. And the thing about Benson, and you guys should try this. It's a Wes Montgomery thing. Yeah, it never feels totally, you still feel like you're struggling, but for me, a lot of times I do it that way because when I learn something, I usually learn it with my thumb and no pick because it slows me down. If you give me a pick, I'm just, that's all it is when I, with a pick. So I intentionally just play, but George Benson's another one. He's got the flesh tone, like talking about